Our next reader is Sara Ross Witt, former co-host of Tuesday Funk, sensing a theme, and a graduate of the New School MFA in Creative Writing program. Her writing has appeared in Arch City Chronicle, Parent to Parent, Black Market Lit, and Best of Ohio Short Stories Volumes 1 and 2. Sara grew up in Westerville, Ohio, the headquarters of the Anti-Saloon League. She summered off Lake Erie in Vermilion and was once lost at Lake Hope State Park during a thunderstorm at night. Her party, a group including her mother, brother, and a psychic, nearly fell into the lake. It sounds like a story in and of itself. Nearly fell into the lake before they were rescued by deer hunters. She often writes about Ohio, magic, and family. She lives in Chicago's Ravenswood neighborhood with her husband, Andrew Witt, bassist for the metal band Sea Lords, and their 2 sons. And she loves whiskey. Please welcome Sara Ross Witt.
Yeah, it has to go down. Thank you guys. I really want to thank my babysitters tonight. Letting me and my husband leave the children, the boys, home so we could come out. Thanks to my husband and my cool group of friends back there who are cheering me on. And all of you guys, thank you so much. Thank you for the host for letting me come out and be a part of this. Thank you guys so much. So I'm going to read from my YA novel that I read from a few months ago. It's still in progress, which means I haven't written that much more since the last time you saw me. It's about, let's see, a 15-year-old girl who, she's just struggling with all the things that we struggle with when we're a teenager. Life, boys, she's struggling with boys, and whether or not, she's going to get her magical powers. And it's set in a totally magical place, Vermilion, Ohio. So we're going to kind of pick up sort of from where we left off. So I'm just going to start. Eddie was gone, away at summer camp. He ran away from me after a magical first/second kiss. Summer stretched before me. I didn't mope. I strategically locked myself in the basement binge watching rom-coms, sustaining myself on soda, chips, and resentment so that I could prepare myself for my lonely life of spinsterhood. It's called research, people. And I was prepared. I don't think I showered during those weeks, which may explain why my family rarely checked on me. And let me tell you, I was fine. Then Granny showed up and was in my face about the festival of fish. Every year, our little town kicks off summer, shortly after summer solstice, with a festival in the center of town celebrating fish. A parade runs down Main Street and they crown a fish queen, a title way more coveted by the popular girls than it should be. Tourists flood in to spend their summer by the lake, boating and on the beaches. Townies love it because it brings in money. But Mom hates it because her frail senses are overwhelmed. And every year Granny says, "What if they want to burn us at the stakes this year?" I just roll my eyes. We still worry a little about how mundanes will treat witches, but not like before. I think half the tourists come here to be around witches, and the other half of the tourists are witches. Granny misinterpreted my silence as a request to keep talking and said, "Here I am, late at night," it was only 5 p.m., "working my flesh off on costumes for your sisters. I don't see one for you, Agatha. Not entering the pageant?" First, I had zero desire to stumble on stage in a tight mermaid costume. Second, I knew Thora was going to win. Aradia had already divined it on some tea leaves last month. I'm not even sure why she bothered to enter the pageant. Third, I don't want the humiliation of losing because, let's face it, I'm no cheerleader like my sister. or Sorcerers and Secrets Junior League secretary like Aurelia. Fourth, and I think this is the most important point, I am in the limbo of love. There's no point in dealing with life until this Eddie thing is sorted out, or he never returns, whichever comes first. I didn't tell Gran any of that. I just sat there watching her glue sequins onto Radia's costume. This time, she let a whole minute go by without saying anything. Finally, she asked, your father's cats finally got your tongue? Don't joke, Gran, I said. You know they're trying to kill me. She chuckled, shrugged, and said, well, what kind of explanation is that? My grandmother is okay with my dad's familiars trying to murder me? Really, this family. Fish Queen, I said. It's not for me. She looked up from the costume, squinted her eyes, studying me. Yours is a different path, I think. Okay, whatever. Were you a fish queen, I asked? She said, Grandpa lets me wear the crown around the house before the ceremony. Weird. Old Mary's being cute, icky. But if the rumors are to be believed, and Granny has never said they shouldn't be, her only response is, people love creating myths, is that Granny had another family before moving to Vermilion. They say she fostered and raised the High Priestess and the Guardians. And the fact that I could be related in any way to the Priestess and the Guardians makes me nervous, especially since my powers haven't manifested. Granny scooped up her things and headed toward the stairs. Her brief visit was over, and I felt even lonelier. She looked back at me and said, it's almost solstice, you know. No one should be sad on solstice. Either Granny was right, or I couldn't stand my BO any longer. I pulled myself out of the basement, showered, and went to the most happening place in town, a library. Okay, it's not the most happening place, but I could do two things there. Send an email to Eddie. He's supposedly at summer camp, so he will at least see my email. Oh, sorry, computer camp. And hang out in a judgment-free space. I had a lot of catching up to do with Witch's Life magazine and Teen Witch today. And one had an article speaking right to my heart about taking charge of our lives based off the book, The Blueprint by George Lemp. He wrote to plan the mood of your day. Expect happy outcomes. Mom said Lemp was a fraud and he failed out of wizardry school. She said he doesn't use magic, rather fuzzy metaphysics and some quack ideas about how magic and the universe function. She's just sour because she doesn't plan the mood of her day. She never expects happy. But me, I'm a planner. I created one for the festival called I Don't Need Edgar Castle, or Idnik. Number 1, meet up with Nora at the dairy dock. Eat a crunch cone. That's important because I haven't had one since last summer, and I've been craving them like an addict all year. 2, walk up Main Street as families begin to set up for the parade. 3, find a spot along the route that is strategically near some seasonal hotties, tourist boys who don't yet know anything about me. 4, make eyes. I need to work on this technique. 5, if bold, invite seasonal hottie to join me at the festival. Try to be bold. 6, ride the rides, play some games, get matching airbrush tattoos. You know, summer we just met and we're so in love stuff. 7, kiss as the fireworks go off overhead. So on Fish Festival Day, I woke up feeling refreshed, as one should after 10 hours of sleep. I opened the curtains and said, "Good morning, world." Why did I do that? Because just like KOD, Idnik did not go as planned. 1, meet up with Nora at the dairy dock, eat a cone topped with crunch. I ate 2 of them. I told you before, I'm an addict. My stomach wasn't feeling great. I smelled of chocolate. I wanted to eat myself. 2, walk up Main Street as families begin to set up for the parade. I felt icky and bloated, so we didn't walk far, which was perfect because at least 10 tourist boys were camped near the end of the parade route. They all qualified as hotties. Nora and I were very excited. We sat across the street to get our flirty stare on. I had worked on my flirty eye in the mirror. It was kind of a side glance with some eyelash batting. To make it especially awesome, Nora had helped me apply fake lashes, but one just wouldn't sit right, so we took them off and applied a heavy amount of eyeliner to cover up the glue. Nora assured me it did not look like a black eye. I took it as a sign from the universe to try my first ever sexy smoky eye. Shortly after the parade started, 2 boys jogged across to us. Before they arrived, I took a moment to decide which one I would flirt with. One hottie had floppy boy band hair and thick-rimmed glasses. The other had short dark curls and big eyes. It was a tough choice. Are you okay, hottie one asked. He's for Nora. We're fine, I said, turning my head and making eyes at hottie 2. Really? Asked hottie 2. Your eyes look weird. I thought you might be having a seizure. We're with Festival First Aid. I wanted to die. Nora laughed so hard she shouted, I have to pee! The boys jogged away. Number 3, if bold, invite boy into festival. Try to be bold. Post potty break and emergency makeup removal at my house, Nora and I were feeling better. That's when I spotted a reoccurring tourist family, the Sanchez's, a witch family from Columbus. They came to our town every summer, and whoa, little Logie had grown up. The tall hottie with slightly dimpled chin, dark curly hair, and soft brown eyes surrounded by to-kill-for long lashes. Why do boys always have the best lashes? And the brightest, easiest smile. One could forget about Eddie and his kiss when looking at that smile. One could, but one, aka me, did not. Nora said Logie was still a year younger, and I was like, that's okay, he looks our age. Of course, I had to reintroduce myself. Honestly, I'm not even sure I belong to my family. Did my parents filch me from the river? When I dropped Granny's name, his parents were so happy to see me and I sprang into action, inviting Logie to join us for some rides. He said yes. Aggie was bold. Number 4, ride the rides, play some games, get matching airbrush tattoo. You know, summer of love, stuff. That all happened in my dreams. Logie barely said anything. We rode a rickety roller coaster that knocked my brain around more than anything else. The super shot. I nearly emptied those crunch cones from my stomach on that one. The swings, the Ferris wheel, and the windsurfer. Then he bought a funnel cake and shared it with us. Fried food is the way to my heart. And he finally talked, except it was to ask if we wanted to watch the Fish Queen pageant. I found myself saying yes while Laura gave me the stink eye. She decided to join her parents instead. The Fae had a drum circle set up at the other end of the festival. But Logie was the best. He leaned in as we watched the pageant and asked why they never wore fish heads for their costumes instead of the mermaid outfits. It was like he was reading my mind. Why did they have to be mermaids? We agreed that next year I should enter the pageant and wear a fish head costume. And Thor won. I cheered even though it wasn't a surprise. Logie grabbed my hand as we continued to cheer, and we did this silly jig while holding hands. The first time the boy had ever done that. Who knew the fish pageant could be such a bonding experience? Number 5. Kiss as the fireworks go off overhead. We went to the beach, which was full of other teenagers and bonfires. We sat in the sand, took off our shoes, and dug our feet in. He talked about his grandmother in Peru, how she sold herbal magic at the witches' market. His father, also an herb witch, came to Ohio on a farm internship. Now his father owned a sizable spice company in Columbus. Logie said he wanted to do that with his magic. Be more, he said. I smiled at his ambition. With one hand waving over the sand, he built an ornate sandcastle in less than a minute. I'm more like my mom, he said. Earth magic. Impressed with himself. But his display of magic made me nervous. I worried he'd want to see my magic. Instead, he asked if I wanted to go make out over by the rocks lining the beach, which, duh. We walked to the relative privacy of the outcropping of large white rocks. And despite his magic display, I was still feeling pretty bold. He wrapped his arms around my waist, and I leaned in to kiss him. Even though I was thinking of Eddie the entire time, our makeout session was pretty heavy. Until Logie stopped and said, "You shouldn't feel bad about your nose, Agatha." I pulled back and touched my face. I don't like my nose, but no one else should comment on it, especially not a boy who is kissing me. I bet magic could fix that, he went on. Well, Well, he clearly wasn't reading this situation, which was me, horrified, backing away from him. Then, fears confirmed, he asked me to show him my magic. The magic I don't have. No, I said. He looked horrified, like I had just offended him. He said, I don't date mundanes, Agatha. Well, I got mad. Little Logie was not dating me. I was not dating him. I said, my magic is my business, Logan, and for your information, I love my nose. And I walked away from him. You suck, George Limp. This wasn't in my blueprint of the day. I returned his book to the library the next day with notes suggesting they burn it.